Hello and welcome to the e-commerce leader series, the podcast dedicated to helping founders and senior leaders navigate the future of online retail with AI. I'm your host, Bryan Kinghorn, Head of Growth at Luca AI, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Lynn Power, who is the CEO and co-founder at MASAMI. So thank you very much for being here, Lynn. Before we dive into our main topic of conversation, would you mind just giving our listeners a brief introduction to yourself, your business, and what it is you do?
Sure. Thank you, Bryan. Nice to be chatting with you. So I am a longtime ad executive, spent almost 30 years in the ad business, turned entrepreneur. So I did a career pivot kind of in my 50s, and I now have a haircare brand, MASAMI, which you mentioned. I also have a luxury bee-powered home fragrance company called Il de Nature. And I also launched the Power Beauty Collab, which is a group of about 50 clean indie beauty and wellness brands. And we do a lot of co-marketing, shared learning, promotions, pop-ups, retail activations, et cetera, to help each other grow.
Yeah, nice one. And what is it that, obviously you said hair care, like what is your hero, SKU or product? Like what are the main products that you sell?
Well, as a small business, it sort of depends on where the traction comes from, which is not always reflective of the reality. And it also changes over time because all of a sudden, you're on one site where one product takes off. So it used to be our shampoo because it's a low foaming, but our whole line is all about weightless hydration. So salon quality, vegan, cruelty-free, clean, the whole thing. But people really like that it makes your hair feel really healthy. You don't need to use a lot of product. You don't have to wash your hair as often. Guys love it because it's kind of good for low maintenance. But now our scalp scrubber has become our top product because it's, what I've realized also, and you'll understand this as an e-commerce person too, is that sometimes things with a lower barrier for purchase, i.e., I don't have to worry about my hair type. I don't have to worry about finishing my bottle of shampoo that's in my shower. I don't have to do the price value equation in my head about what I'm getting from this 10-ounce bottle. A scalp scrub is an easy purchase for people. It's like not a lot to think about. So it's almost like we're trying to activate that reptilian part of your brain that makes easy decisions. And that has done that. Whereas the formulas, and I think any beauty founder understands this, the formulas are just, whether you're skincare, hair care, fragrance, they're a more considered purchase for just about everybody.
Yeah, nice one. And so just to get a full picture, are you solely e-commerce or do you have any like retailers and things as well?
So we are mostly e-commerce. We're on our own site, obviously. And we're also on a lot of other marketplaces. We're on Target.com, Walmart.com, Amazon, of course, Nordstrom.com, Ulta.com, Salon-centric, but we're also in a few brick and mortar salons, indie salons mostly, and a few like clean beauty retailers like Petal and Hive is one of my very favorites. So if anybody listening is in the Albany area, she's based in Saratoga Springs. Oh my gosh, adorable store, incredible owner. She will help you find whatever you need. So yeah, we're in a few select places like that I think are a very good fit for us because you've got somebody there to kind of like walk you through what you need and explain the products, understands the formulations. And that's a huge part of the battle with brick and mortar is if you go in some place where you don't have that education or the staff that really cares or gets it, your products are just going to sit there. If you're a small business.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you selling all over the US? Are you any overseas or how does that look?
When we launched, we actually we did Amazon Singapore, Amazon UK, and then we started to branch out to Europe. And then I ended up shutting it down about 2 years ago because what I found is that, first of all, we don't have the bandwidth to give it the attention that it needs to actually work. Secondly, the regulatory environment is constantly changing, and I don't have the capital as a small business to change my packaging for France and to add a representative to my packaging for England. And, you know, like there's so many things that you have to do. Not to mention the filings, the sales tax, you know, like I just decided, you know what, I got to crack the US first before
there's enough to focus on there for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
We do
so let's
ship abroad. So if somebody really wants our products and they're in Scotland, your sister wants the products, whatever, you can get the products. But you know, it's not cheap because there's the customs fee. Of course, our friend Trump has not made it super friendly to do.
Well, my sister does live in Scotland, and I will pass on your. You never know. She might buy some. So then, taking it back then a second. So you said that you were six years ago. You set up the business. What was the main driver, or what was the gap or opportunity that you identified that what made you want to start the business?
Well, I had left my advertising career in 2018. I was the CEO of a large agency and was pretty miserable, actually. It was not fun at the end for a lot of reasons. That's another podcast. But I had met my co-founder who'd been working on our formulations for about 10 years. And the thing that we were trying to solve was hydration, which is the #1 hair issue. So when people's hair is, they say they have a bad hair day. Well, what does that actually mean? If you dissect a bad hair day, it's usually because your hair is unmanageable, frizzy, dry, it's breaking, it's not behaving. Well, those are all signs that it's not healthy and it's not hydrated. So when you solve hydration, you solve almost all those issues. The problem is in the market that most of the products that are hydrating or moisturizing will leave your hair flat and limp and almost feel like you've got product in there still, heavy. So we wanted to create what is kind of an oxymoron, weightless hydration, because it really hadn't existed before. So hence why it took such a long time to create the formulations. We have a Japanese ocean botanical that we discovered through my co-founder James's husband, Masa, who grew up in Northeast Japan. His mother was a hairstylist, and she used to grind up this makabu powder and put it in her local like shampoo and also in her skincare, by the way. And that was sort of the unlock, because we realized that this powder, I mean, seaweed is so beneficial for so many reasons. Very nutrient dense. It does a lot of positive things, but it essentially acts like a sponge to your hair, but without adding the weight in the formulas. So they're pretty unusual formulas. And people do find, we have very high loyalty, but people do find that it's not as simple as, oh, it's a shampoo, I know how to use a shampoo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is a little bit of a learning curve. You don't use a lot of product, a very small amount. If you overuse it, your hair will get a little heavier. So you just need a little bit. Like, there's just certain things, but when people use it correctly, they're like, oh my God, game changer. Like, I had no idea.
Awesome. Amazing. Sounds very good. Like, I'll credit to you for what you've done so far. So I suppose then that brings me on to the business itself and how things have grown over the years. So give us a bit of an idea on, businesses are not plain sailing. I'm sure over your 6 years of trading so far, there's been lots of difficult times and challenges and all that type of thing. So go and just talk to that for a second. Like, what are some of the challenges you've encountered since starting up the business, and how have you overcome them? Or what's like the most rewarding challenge that you've overcome?
I mean, there have been so many. And I think when you launch a business, people don't fully understand the level of fortitude and, whatever you want to call it, resilience that you really do need, because there's always things, and a lot of the things are not things you can control. And that is, for somebody who's a little type A, that is one of the hardest things, is that, things are coming at you and you really. So the first challenge we had is we launched at New York Fashion Week in February 2020, which was a month before COVID.
Yeah.
So that was problem number one, was the salons that I had negotiated with were closed for a year. So like, we had to pretty much throw our business plan out the window, which was originally going to be much more salon based, and go to the DTC route. Now, luckily, we had built our business with a DTC mindset, so it was not a huge pivot, but nonetheless, it was, you know, a little daunting. The next big challenge I had is a year later, I got a very aggressive stage 3 breast cancer. Okay. So my business is, you know, a year old. I am going through a year of treatment, chemo, surgery, radiation. I was bald for 9 months as a hair care founder. It's not exactly a good look. And so I had to really think about my priorities. And the silver lining in cancer, if there is one, is it does force you to do that, which I'm not somebody who spends a lot of time in my own thoughts that often. So it kind of forces you that there. And I ended up taking my little luxury bee-powered candle business that I mentioned earlier. I kind of parked that on the side because I realized I couldn't do both. It was too much. So that one became a little bit of a pause, a lot of a pause, frankly. And then I ended up, after my treatment, I ended up launching the collective. It was called the Conscious Beauty Collective at the time, but we changed the name last year. But the reason I did that is because I realized launching through COVID that the partnerships I did with other brands out of pragmatism were hugely helpful for the business. Really good ROI because you spend virtually nothing. You're leveraging each other's audiences essentially. And also for me personally, I really enjoy connecting with other founders. It's a really good way to shortcut learning, to just vent sometimes, to have other people who know kind of what you're going through. And so I decided to launch this collective, and we actually started doing our own stores in the beginning, but then I pivoted to doing what we do now, which is putting shelves in other people's stores because I couldn't scale our own stores because no one wanted to work in the store. I couldn't hire good help. I was working in the store 6 days a week. It was not a sustainable model. So now we do these pop-ins, and that's worked really well. So, you know, sometimes my lesson is, you know, you do have to listen to what the universe is telling you. Like if you're beating your head against something that's not working, you got to pivot. You got to like see what is working and then run towards that. And sometimes it's a flash in the pan, but sometimes it's more of a, okay, it's a change in the business model. And I think that is one of the keys to understanding how to stick around. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful, but it at least gives you the odds of sticking around, which increases your odds of being successful.
Yeah, totally get it. Totally understand. No, fair credit to you. So I suppose moving then on to, you know, some more of our, you know, main topic of conversation around AI and your usage of it. So how, obviously when you started 6 years ago, I'm sure there was not AI in the context of what we've got now. So things have changed, you know, very quickly in that respect. So talk to me about like how you've adopted or utilized AI in your business over the last, you know, years or months, whatever that case may be.
Yeah, I mean, I started experimenting with product visuals. That was sort of the very easiest first thing. And this was a few years ago, like 3 years ago at this point. And I use a lot of different apps. Some of them aren't even around anymore. But and what I learned is that some of them are better at certain things than others. Some of them were better at crafting the backgrounds. Some of them were better at keeping the product correct, not changing things, you know. Some of them just had better sort of references to pull from. And then, but I was really not using it for people because it was still wonky. I would still get the 6 fingers and the, you know, all that stuff. So, but I was using it for products. And then as it started to improve, I started using it for people as well, for models, for even just hands or, you know, and now it's gotten obviously quite good. You know, there are some AI images that I have with people that you can't tell it's AI, and there are some that you can. And if you really push yourself to figure out why, it's hard to put your finger on it exactly. There's just something that feels just a little odd, but nonetheless, it's come a long way. I also use it to write email copy. I use it to write blog posts. I use it to write social media posts. I use an app called Marky that does all my scheduling and social media posts and writes everything with AI. And honestly, the writing is better than what I would do. And it's way more thought out. And I actually think for small businesses or solopreneurs, AI has been unbelievably incredible. Like, because like, you know, you probably can relate to this, you know, you only have so many hours in the day. And absolutely. If you're trying to get a lot of tonnage out, because that's the name of the game, you know, you got to have volume content, you're going to shortcut, like you're going to spend 10 minutes, not a half an hour, because you only have so much time to, you know, but AI gives you that half-hour content in 2 seconds. Not, you know, it's like,
exactly.
So that's where I started. But now I also use it for, I mean, it's integrated in Canva now, obviously. It's integrated in Shopify. I have noticed, though, some of the analytics AI is not fully accurate. Like I've asked Shopify, can you add up all the sales from this particular, that has this tag, you know, from this particular retailer in May, and it gives me something. I'm like, no, that's not right. It's actually 2,500 and da-da-da. And it says to me, oh yeah, you're right. I'm like, so I'm a little, and I've noticed in my accounting software, same thing. It's not fully accurate. And so I haven't, it's like, I feel like it's in the early days of the people, you know, like where it's 90% there, but there's that 10% miss. That's kind of where I'm experiencing that a little bit now with some of the other usage areas, I suppose. And I've you're talking that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think it's fair to say you probably heavily use it in anything marketing related. Is that fair to say? And then you're now starting to think about how you can utilize AI in other aspects of your business. And I suppose that's why Luca exists, you know, to a certain extent, because, you know, we identified that, you know, AI can be utilized to help you run your business, whether that is, you know, the finances of your business, whether that's some operational aspects of your business. Obviously, there's the marketing aspect as well, but there's so many aspects of your business that you can use AI to help you with. And one of the things that, you know, you touched upon there was the analytics piece on Shopify. Like we agree, like that's where there's an actual opportunity for us as Luca to help brand owners really understand their true data much better. And then when you're combining your accounting software with your Shopify data, with your meta ad spend, and Luca has a bird's eye view of it all, it does allow you to then make some, you know, critical decisions about your business and its operations by using an AI tool. So that's where we come at it from. And the opportunities from AI are huge, but you're right. You've got to still, you know, be a human in the real world and identify where there is potentially going to be errors or mistakes, and that's what, you know, that's what we're supposed we're trained to look out for. And thankfully on the Luca side, touch wood, you know, we've got it to a place where you know, we're pretty accurate. Well, we're very accurate and confident with any data that we're putting out there to users. So yeah, definitely lots of opportunity for you to continue, you know, utilizing AI to help you in lots of different aspects of your business.
I mean, I am cautiously optimistic about that. But it's a little difficult when your business gets to the point where you really do need to be able to automate some of this stuff, and you're not 100% confident it's doing it correctly. That's the, you know, even things like sales tax, you know, if I'm getting the wrong data, and I'm inputting it is that going to end up biting me in the butt someday? Like
Yeah.
it's just, so that's where it's a little nerve wracking. But it ultimately, I think, is going to be very rewarding. I do think AI, and even though it's good for me personally, like in my business as a small business owner, I see from, like, I have 2 kids, 25 and 22, and my son is a data analyst. And I do see on that he's lucky. He's got a job. He provides strategy, that strategy layer for the data. But the amount of jobs, even within his company, that have gone away because they don't need those people, it is real. So we are going to see, like, that's not just the sky is falling. No, it actually, that is a real thing. But hopefully people can figure out how to pivot and embrace AI, and then, like, add value to AI as opposed to just, woe is me, I don't have a job.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's still, we're firmly of the opinion that there's still lots of opportunity for roles and jobs. I think the scaremongering around AI is going to take all your jobs is totally incorrect, and it is just that, it's fear mongering. There's still lots of opportunity, but I suppose that brings me on to like another sort of question for you. So, because things are changing so fast and there's these huge technological shifts happening all the time, it can be overwhelming to try and keep on top of what is happening out there. So what have you done? How have you kept speed with the changes that's happening specifically around AI?
I mean, there are really 2 conferences that I go to that are my sort of easy ways to get up to speed, because I always find a partner or two to try out. Shop Talk and Shop Talk and E-Tail. Those are the 2 that E-Tail's also in Palm Springs, so it makes it very easy for me. But those are really good conferences to kind of get a feel for what's out there. And there's a lot of startups at those conferences too. And I'm talking about startup ad tech and tech companies, not just brands. But and so you do feel like you're getting a glimpse of kind of the bleeding edge a little bit. And like I said, I experiment. A couple of years ago, I was at Shop Talk and I met Tolstoy, and I started using Tolstoy, and they've come a long way. I mean, now they do a lot of AI content and UGC type stuff, and it's been great. I would recommend either of those. And if you're a brand, you can apply for the hosted program at Shop Talk, which I've been fortunate enough to be part of the last couple of years, and it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Shop Talk's in Vegas, right?
Yeah, well, there's a couple big ones in Vegas.
Yeah, I did the one in Europe one year. It's in Barcelona, and it was a great event. Really, inspiring, and lots of good educational moments, but good conversations. One-to-ones, all that side of things. It is. So anyone listening, definitely look that up. If you haven't already, it's definitely something worth going to. So thanks for that. And on the and in regards to like the opportunity you've got as a brand, like over the next few years, how do you see that next few years panning out in regards to the opportunity you've got for your businesses, and how will AI play a part in you growing and scaling those businesses?
Well, I think as SEO has changed and the algorithms have changed, that's the biggest shift that I've noticed, is it's sort of leveled the playing field for smaller businesses. So like my Amazon sales have been up. My visitors to my site have been up, and I think the more brands can kind of get that right, or at least evolve. I guess you're never getting it right fully because it's changing all the time. That's the hard part. But if you're trying to at least kind of feed the machine, feed the beast with the content it needs to find you and make you discoverable, then I think you're going to be able to survive the next couple of years. If you don't do those basic things, if you were sort of like a mediocre Shopify site before and had kind of didn't put the time and effort into your content and your descriptions and your, you know, then you're probably going to be dead in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I just think it's going to weed out those kind of, and I think before you could kind of prop up a mediocre SEO experience with advertising and other things, content and advertising in other ways. But now I think it's hard. It's getting harder to do that. You really need the foundation to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a key aspect of it. I think and forgetting AI for a second as well, and all the tools that we've got available to us. If you don't have the foundations right in your business, then it's not going to grow whether you've got AI or not to go AI. I think it's a key thing to remember. And on the last podcast I actually recorded, we had this conversation around, we're of a maturity where we've had time in business well before AI, and most of our working lives we've never had any AI tool to help us do our work. But then there's people coming into the workplace now and they've only ever known their working life with AI. So then are they going to be able to be in a position where they can understand when AI is hallucinating or giving them wrong information? And it is a concern. It's something that as leaders of these businesses, when we are, having earlier people in their careers into the workforce, we need to be aware of and making sure they're getting the education to know what is right and wrong, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, and that's tricky too, because there are a lot of different points of view on which AI is more correct and more accurate and better for what thing. And they're not all the same. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be, I do feel it's a little bit like the Wild West. And I'm sure people said that when the internet was born and when, electricity came about, and there's, but this does feel like one of those seismic shift moments though, which is both scary and exciting,
Yeah, no, definitely. And what's a piece of advice you would give to other e-commerce leaders in similar positions to you to just help them with, if you were talking to someone that's maybe earlier on in their journey with their AI usage and not quite as up to speed as you, what advice would you give them to help them along on their journey?
I would say, and this is not just for AI, but for everything, experiment.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about A/B tests. I'm talking about product mix, partnerships, marketing tactics, marketplaces, like everything. And obviously AI tools, that's a big one. But like, I just learned so much from what worked, because a lot of what your assumptions are going in are wrong. And I spent my career in marketing, right? And I'm still wrong about a lot of things because it changes so much around us. And you just have to be willing to let it go a little and not be controlling of everything, and be willing to experiment, knowing you may get bad results, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Continual learning as well is important. I think we're always every day we can learn something new. So yeah, well, thanks very much, Lynn. It's been incredibly interesting conversation with you. Thanks for sharing your expertise. But before we begin to wrap up, where is the best place for our listeners to find you and the business? Like, where should they be following along online?
Sure. So I'm easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn. And my business is Masami. Our website is lovemasami.com.
Okay.
And our social handle is Love Masami Hair, pretty much everywhere.
Cool.
And then Power Beauty Collab is powerbeautycollab.com and Power Beauty Collab pretty much everywhere. But yeah, I mean, I try to respond as best I can when people, hit me up. So if I don't take it personally, just hit me up again.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, it's hard. I get a lot of sales emails and requests. So if you're a salesperson, sorry. But I try my best to I think that's like an old school trait that we were taught. I'm a lot older than you, but it's like, be polite, respond back to people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Lynn, absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for a fantastic conversation.
Thank you, Bryan. It was really enjoyable.